Welcome to Unveiled, the Hampton Police Division's podcast where we dive into the world of policing. I'm your host, Assistant Chief Brian Coleman. Today we're going to go behind the badge and examine the future of law enforcement here in the 757 by looking at the Hampton Police Division's Cadet program, a great launch pad for young adults who are seeking to be law enforcement officers but maybe don't have the age quite yet to be the next-gen police officer. And I've got three special guests here, one who is a police officer but was a cadet, and two others that are serving as cadets. And what we're going to do is we're going to dive into their story and get some feedback from them about how you, if you're interested, could become a cadet as well. So, good afternoon. How are you guys doing today?
Good. How are you?
All right, so I'm going to ask you guys to introduce yourselves first. And so I'm going to go with you, Josiah. I want you to introduce yourself. Tell us where you grew up, what high school you went to, and what shift are you currently working.
Gotcha. Okay, so I'm Officer Josiah Taylor. I grew up in this area pretty much. I was born in Silver Spring, Maryland, but I've been here since the age of 5. I graduated from the Bethel High School.
Okay, word.
And I'm currently assigned to operations on the Chesapeake side of the city, A Squad.
Good. Now, so you are currently a police officer with us, but you are also a benefactor of the cadet program as well.
Yes, sir.
Good. We're going to dig into that a little bit later. So it's good to have you on the show, Josiah.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Joshua.
Yeah, Cadet Williamson. I've been with Hampton a little under a year, approaching a year, and I'm currently assigned to special projects where I assist both operations on With and Chesapeake, but I just do a little bit extra, so I've also helped with tow inspections and some other behind-the-scenes things too.
Okay, great. So where did you go to high school? Where'd you grow up?
War Hill High School. I went to War Hill High School, graduated in 2024, and I grew up in James City County, Williamsburg.
Awesome. So we're going to talk about how you heard about the cadet program from being outside of Hampton. Great to have you on the show.
Yes, sir.
Zoe, tell us where you grew
Hi,
up and all that good stuff.
I'm Cadet All. I grew up here in Hampton on the Fox Hill side. I went to Kickotan, and I'm working right now on the A Squad. No, wait.
It's okay.
Okay. I'm working on B Squad days on
days.
With side of the city.
Perfect. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Well, it's great to have you guys on the show. And the cool thing, the common thread that all of us have here is that we all have been cadets. So I'm the benefactor of being in the cadet program myself. Started way back in 1994. I know that's a long time ago. However, I will tell you, by way of this particular program, I got the awesome benefit of seeing a behind-the-looks scene of what policing could be for me, and it really did help me solidify whether I actually wanted to pursue law enforcement or not. And here I am 32 years later. I'm an assistant chief, having the benefit of having a lot of guidance and mentorship with some great people in this division that has brought me up as an individual and made me better. But it really all started with being a cadet. So I want to dive into a question with you guys, which is, what was a spark or a moment or something that helped gravitate each of you to law enforcement? Now, like, why not architecture, or why not business, or why not being an accountant? What was it about law enforcement that brought you or drew you in? It could be a person, could be a program, but I'm interested in hearing about what that was. So I'll start with you, Josiah. What do you say?
Oh, man. I mean, ever since I was young, I've always wanted, I wouldn't even say wanted, but I've always had a aspiration or love to see police, whether that be through shows or engaging with them in school. I think for me, when I was in my previous job, I was working at Sky Zone, and interacting with members of the bid unit, because that's part of the bid and PTC. Ultimately, just speaking with them and having a conversation with them is what made me see what I see on TV and things come to life, I guess you can say. I never thought that I could be a police officer, or let alone a cadet, right? And so a cadet, they were explaining to me about that program, and how even, I think it was Corporal Wilson, he was a cadet, and he was explaining to me, and he was saying how, it kind of, how it was and how it worked, and ultimately made me think like, wow, so I can actually be a police officer, you know what I mean? And it came true. And so it ultimately is what made me take the step to, try out the program and then go further on.
Very good. Very good. Josiah. I'm sorry. You're Josiah. Joshua.
So police always kind of stood out. Of course, you have military, but it's odd to see a group of guys, women who can ride motorcycles, who can ride in unmarked cars and lights and sirens. So it always stood out. So it was something different that you can engage with the community, also investigate. So I think that because of so many variety within one organization, it kind of drew me to this.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Zoe, what do you think?
I've always been interested since I was little, like in documentaries, stuff like that. Both of my parents were in the military, so I kind of got that aspect of it. But I didn't necessarily want to leave the city because I've been here since I was young. So I was actually going to Virginia Peninsula right out of high school for criminal justice, but I didn't really like the school aspect that much. And so I started looking into jobs, and I heard about the cadet program, and I was like, I might as well try it out and see if that's what I want to do and stuff. So
Very good. So it's interesting. I think this segues perfectly into the next question I'm going to ask you guys. Now I'm going to give you my perspective on it. Is how did I hear about the cadet program and what drove me there? So many of you guys kind of talked about the service aspect of it a little bit. Like you talked about your mom and dad being in the service. So my father was a 25-year veteran of Langley Air Force Base in the Air Force. That's how we got down here. Originally was back from Alaska to here. So seeing my mom and my dad both serve in different aspects in life, I knew that I wanted to be in service of others, something bigger than me. So it drove me to service. So out of high school, the Bethel High School, I joined the Virginia Army National Guard, and I went in as a military policeman. So being able to come out of basic training in military police school, but not yet being old enough, drew me to the opportunity for the police cadet program. And it's really kind of unique how it happened. One is I had a police officer. I was involved in an accident in my senior high school year, and a police officer in Hampton worked the accident, and he's not with us anymore. He's since resigned, but his name was John Grimes. And he kind of mentioned this potential program of law enforcement being the cadet program. And then when I got back from basic training, I heard about it from my mom and dad. I was seeking, like, how do I use this skill that I got from the Army to better myself? Because I knew that I wanted to be in a line of service. I feel like a life of service to others is really, really honorable, and I wanted to do that. And so I'm looking for you guys to tell me, how did you hear about the cadet program, and what convinced you to say, you know what, I'm going to apply for this program? I'm going to start with you, Zoe.
Okay. So, like I said, I went to Virginia Peninsula, so obviously that's close to where we have our academy for the police recruits and everything. So I kind of saw the signs around there and stuff, so I kind of looked it up online and heard about it through there. And then I actually took it upon myself to go in person, and I talked with Officer Lowe about the program, and that's when I decided I wanted to apply.
Oh, sweet. So instead of just, you not only went online, but you actually just went in person and
Yes.
spoke to Officer Lowe. That's awesome. Very good. What do you say, Joshua? What was it that got you attracted, or how did you hear about the program?
So it's honestly similar to what she said. So I also Virginia Peninsula, and I was sitting in class one day, and I was listening to my professor speak, and rather than just learn about it, I kind of wanted to do it. So I literally searched up police-involved jobs that hire at 18, and police cadet cert came up, and I'm like, what's this? So I just investigated from there, took it home, showed my parents, and ever since then.
So that's interesting. I'm going to ask you, what did mom and dad think about it?
So, of course, mom's going to be a little nervous. You're doing what? You're going where?
Right.
But, of course, they're supportive. My father was very supportive. And, of course, dads are nervous, too. But they're going to try to hold it. I'm proud. But
Right.
they're probably nervous, too. But definitely nervous, but definitely supportive.
Very good. Zoe, what about your parents? Were they a little nervous about your...
Yes,
path
definitely.
there?
Very nervous. My dad also more so compared to you. My mom's been supportive of it. They both are supportive, but they are still worried about me, and mention that they pray for me every day, make
good.
sure I'm safe out there. So
Awesome. All right, Josiah, how'd you hear about the cadet program?
Oh man, I've always been around like a serving mentality, whether that be in the community, through church, through school, anything like that. I started pretty young in the workforce. As soon as I was able to work, I worked. I actually climbed the ranks in the entertainment business, I guess you could say, through the business. And as a manager, you kind of have interaction with police, just no matter what, whether that be going through security plans, whether that be, you know, calling them in to come and deal with something that's happened in your business. And I think for me, that's how I got into the cadet program or heard about it. Just being able to, or when we would call or they would just come just to make sure everything's okay. I would have conversations with the officers that were responding after they've dealt with whatever happened or what they were there for. And, it was just friendly conversation, hey, this is, hey, what's that? Like, what does this do? And they're talking about it, and then they're like, you know what, man? Like, I've been in the, like, what is the bid? You know what I mean? Just asking questions like that. And ultimately, that's what segued into, the cadet program. So it's like they kind of grasped that I didn't know if I wanted to be part of police or not. And so they would say, I was a cadet before, and this ultimately is what helped me, kind of confirm that I wanted to be in law enforcement. And so I was like, And the cadet program also, I know they recently made it to like 24 or something like that, and I was still finishing college. And so that was another thing that I was battling too, was like, can I still like go through the academy or try to become a police officer and I'm still in school, and because I had the age for it, but I didn't know if I had the time for it. And so I think that's when I started doing research into the policing aspect in general, and I came across, the actual posting of police cadet program, looking into it and signing up. So
Gotcha. Very good. Very good. So let's talk about an aspect of the hiring process really quick. I know we've done a podcast on recruiting and things like that, but I'm really interested in y'all's perspective on, was there something that was really challenging in the hiring process as a cadet, and then how did you assess it and overcome it, and what did you learn from that? And I'll start with you, Joshua. What do you say?
Of course, it can seem intimidating. The hiring process can feel long, but if you look back, you're like, I got through there. But I think the most nerve-wracking or difficult part probably was the polygraph.
Okay.
Not because you're lying or telling anything wrong, you're just nervous. What do I have to lie about? But I think once you say, okay, I get why they're doing it, and I'm glad they do. I know who I work around with. I feel comfortable. I'm glad they checked me out, but it wasn't anything that stood out other than that, the nerves behind the polygraph.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good. Zoe, what about you?
I feel like my hardest part was I applied over the summer, so I had a few family vacations I was going on, so it was kind of hard to navigate all the different appointments I had to make and stuff, but my investigator was very good with that and making sure that we were able to get it done in a timely manner still. So they were always supportive and stuff and making sure that we could get it done in a timely manner. So.
Sounds like they were flexible then. Flexible
Yeah,
with your schedule?
definitely
Very good.
flexible.
Josiah, what do you say? Anything difficult in the process?
I wouldn't say anything was difficult. I think the process itself was, I like to say, grown.
Okay.
It's like, especially at a young age, when you look at a fresh 18-year-old right out of high school, I had previous history of, employment and jobs, but as someone that may have never had a job or is, fresh out of high school and it's like a real job, it could be a little intimidating because it's like, okay, so there's a process for this. You don't just interview me and say, hey, you got the job. I have to do this medical thing. I got to do the polygraph. And trust me, man, the polygraph was me too, man.
Yeah.
It's, just everything hooked up to you is a little intimidating.
Yeah.
But I think it's not difficult. It's just new.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Different.
Something you have different, exactly. Yeah. Something you may have never gone through, and so that can be a little, like I said, nerve-wracking. But honestly, with the process, how it's built, it makes it easy.
Very good.
So instead of it being nerve-wracking, you go into it nerve-wracking, but when you're going through it, ease of mind. It eases your mind. So.
Well, let's stick with you, Josiah, because you are a police officer now. How long were you a cadet?
Oh. I joined July 2024. I think I joined the academy in November or October. Okay. So only about 4 months.
So let me ask you this, though. So now you're a police officer. You were a cadet. What did the cadet program bring for you, and did it help you make a decision on whether you wanted to stay in law enforcement or not?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay, how so?
I think my first day as a police cadet, just scanning my key fob to go into a building, you know what I mean? It was like, whoa. It was just grown. Like, I keep saying that word, but it's just a big boy job. Sure. You know what I mean? And You scan it in, you got your business casual clothing on or something like that, and then the people, as soon as you're going through the door, hey sir, how are you? Going into the person you're supposed to meet, and just going through the process, and then the first day hitting the road as a police cadet, in training, dealing with actual officers, it was like, oh, I can get used to this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's what solidified me actually becoming a police officer. Learning everything as a police cadet ultimately prepared me for becoming a police officer as well, as much as it could, of course. But yeah.
Very good. So aspirations. So you guys are still cadets, right? Joshua, Zoe, you're still cadets. Do you have an aspiration to go into law enforcement, become a police officer? And if so, how has the cadet program helped you with that decision? And I'll start with you, Zoe.
Okay. Going off of what Josiah said, well, mainly when I was in FDO, I was with Officer Walsh on A Squad. I kind of saw what police officers did, and I was like, oh, I want to do that. Like, that looks fun. Getting able to be out there in the community, they can provide a lot more help than we can as cadets, definitely. So definitely seeing that and just seeing what they get to do has made me decide that that's what I want to go into.
Very good. Joshua, what do you say?
Well, yeah, I'm off of both of them. The more I sit here, the more I realize how much we all have in common. That from my previous jobs, I worked with children in James City for Parks and Recreation. I work with my church. It's all community-based and serving. And working amongst officers here, these fine people next to me, is nothing other than I want to do but to be in law enforcement or some form of serving with my community. Like he said, walking in, Chief Weidman walked up, was the first person to walk up to me, get my fingerprints. How you doing, sir? You look good. You look dressed up. So just showing up and speaking that the chief of police just said hi to me on my first day, so that it gives you an extra incentive to want to come back each day.
Yeah, that's refreshing. That's really good to hear that as well.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of stay in that theme, and I think what I really want to ask is if, I bet you there are other people out here that probably are interested in this.
Yeah.
And it's a great program. Clearly, you guys are benefactors from that, and you guys have been telling us a little bit about that. What would you say to folks that are considering whether to click that button, apply, and really look at the program? What would you tell them? Go ahead, Zoe.
I would tell them to just give it a try. I wasn't too sure if I wanted to be a police officer, so I didn't know if I wanted to go into being a cadet at first because I didn't want to go into something I wasn't sure about, but I think it's definitely good for the experience. Like Josiah was saying, it's a big boy job.
Yeah.
So it really helps when you're younger going into the cadet program. It helps you understand what it's like to have a full-time job and like these sort of responsibilities that you didn't have before. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
Josiah, what would you say to that?
So, like I said, it's amazing to watch officers do things, but it's a hands-on job. That you're doing escorts and leading funeral processions and getting in the car and going up to speeds that you wouldn't be able to do on your own, to lead them safely. So I definitely encourage it. Anybody who wants to apply, do it, because you will never know unless you try.
Fair to say you've got a pretty good behind-the-curtains view of what it would be like to be a police officer by way of the program?
definitely.
Yes.
Okay,
Definitely.
all right. Josiah, would you say that's valuable as well?
Oh yeah, I think for me I've kind of got the luxury of seeing it actually pan out. And also, as being a police officer now that's gone through the cadet program, I actually have had the opportunity to train a cadet. And so I know exactly what, so I think for me, the program obviously is a gateway into policing, right, or law enforcement. And I think it's not the only thing that it'll help with, you know what I mean? You can come into this program and, I don't know if I want to be a police officer or not, but you can also decide when you go through the program that you may not want to be a police officer. But I think that you learn so much in the program, whether that be talking to people, general city ordinances or laws that you may not have known, and why police do what they do. You know what I mean? And I think that's important because that's ultimately, what we see on social media and stuff like that. You see what you see. You don't actually know what these people are doing or why they do it. And I think the cadet program actually allows you to see why officers do what they do, or why the police operate the way that they do, and ultimately it'll help you decide whether or not you want to be a part of that, or you take what you learn and take it elsewhere if you want to do. So
That's really good. That's really good. And I don't want to stick with you. I got two more questions to ask both of you or all of y'all, and then and we'll end the session here. But let me just let me ask. The first one is: you are already a police officer, but where do you aspire to be in 5 years? Staying in law enforcement, where do you see yourself, or what is there a job in law enforcement that you want to do beyond where you're at right now?
So I definitely see myself sticking with law enforcement, whether that be in the local level or towards the federal level is kind of in the air. I think I came into this after, graduating or getting from the police cadet program and joining the police. I kind of had a goal of doing maybe 2 years of local law enforcement and going federal, being that I had the school for it. But just being in Hampton, the culture and, just the people in the division as well, it's like, I could see myself staying here, and getting what I want. It's fulfilling. You know what I mean? Obviously, my goal is to serve the community, in any way possible as a police officer. And I think one thing I didn't say, but as a police cadet, you get the opportunity of being able to go to community events just as much as, we do as well. And whether that be coffee with a cop, a tip a cop situation, or anything. And I think it's always good to just be out in the community. And
But is there a dream job for you? Like, I want to be a detective, or I want to be a drone pilot, or a Marine Patrol officer. Is there any dream job for you in law enforcement?
So, not right now.
Okay.
I think for me, I'm getting the opportunity to be able to dip my feet in everything, whether that be working overtime with certain specialty units or just being a part of maybe seeing the drone team spin up for something, or the SWAT team or something like that.
Gotcha.
So I think being able to see that and having those type of opportunities will allow me to decide what I want to do.
Pacing
in the long
yourself.
run. Exactly.
Patience. I got it. Love it. All right, Joshua, any dream job you have in law enforcement you'd love to try?
Like I said, since I used to work with children and especially special needs, has always been a passion. Probably juvenile delinquency, juvenile crimes, or just combining the two. So law enforcement with my passion for youth. It's always been a passion of mine to help those who are behind me, or what I went through or what I seen.
So maybe like school resource officer or something like that.
Something to that effect.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Zoe, what about you?
I've always kind of wanted to get into the forensics field. I've seen a lot about what they've done, especially now, or what they do now as a cadet. Just a little bit of the inside, because we're able to obviously go down there and talk with some of the officers. That has helped me decide like what I might want to get into in the future, but I still feel like I'd like to go through the academy and be out on the road for a while, and kind of get into that stuff first before making a final decision.
Very good. All right. So here's the last question. All right. Do you have a shout out for somebody in the police division, a mentor, a guide, an officer, a supervisor who has just really taken you under their wing and been inspiring to you here at the Hampton Police Department? Now's the time to give the shout out. So we'll start with you, Josiah.
I got a couple.
Okay, we'll put them out there.
I think, it kind of says how the culture is, because there's so many people to be able to shout out, but just name a few. And I'm sure it goes for these current cadets now. Is Corporal Kennedy. He's played a vital role in, when I was a cadet, coming into a police officer as well, whether it be MPO Kane as well, part of the training. And Corporal Wilson. I mean, he's the one that, from day one, has told me about the police cadet program and ultimately got me into it. So
Perfect. That's great. All right.
Joshua. So similar lineup. Definitely have to probably go with succession. So it's from when I came in, probably Investigator Lowe, very helpful, very supportive. MPO Kane, who's our FTO coordinator, he's very supportive. On my first day, I had a car broke down. Called him, and he was right there to help me out. Take your time, do what you got to do. My training officer, Officer Walsh, and then lastly, my current supervisor, Corporal Kennedy, who is awesome. Yeah.
Awesome. That's great. I'm telling you, they're going to love this feedback. What do you say, Zoe?
Like them too. I have so many people that I could mention. I had a lot of people while I was on A shift that helped me out. Officer Walsh, definitely. I've had car troubles as well in the past, and I've always had an officer on that shift that was able to come get me if I needed it. A lot of the people at the academy, Investigator Wiggins, helped me to get through my whole process and was very supportive of me the whole time. And so I guess them, yeah.
Well, that's great. I'm going to give it a couple of shout outs too. I got 32 years of shout outs, but I'm going to give it two. I'll give one to my FTO when I was a cadet, which was Patrick Coulter. He's no longer here as well. And I'll give it to Corporal Ken Desifee. That was my FTO while I was going through police training, and those two guys were really foundational for me as well. So I appreciate having you guys on the podcast today. Thanks for talking with me. I'm sure that no matter where law enforcement takes you guys, you're going to be successful. And to be honest with you, I feel like law enforcement's in great hands with folks like you who are service-minded and culturally minded as well in your service to others and above yourself. So with that, that's going to close us out for this episode of Unveiled. If you are interested or know somebody that's interested in being in law enforcement but perhaps isn't of age yet, please navigate to hampton.gov/police. And on the far left-hand side at the bottom, you'll see our recruiting tab. Just hit that there, and you'll see our numbers and contact information via email. We'd love to hear from you, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us for Unveiled, a podcast highlighting the extraordinary men and women of the Hampton Police Division. To learn more, check us out on our social media and at hampton.gov/police.